My name is Sommer Bazuro, and I'm the Chief Medical Officer of the IPG Health Network. Here to talk to us about the lack of diversity in clinical trials and the cost to society as a result is Dr. Newman. Dr. Newman, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dr. Lisa Newman. I'm a surgical breast oncologist and chief of breast surgery for the Weill Cornell Medicine New York Presbyterian Hospital Network. And we have campuses that span over the tri-borough New York area, Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan.
What inspired you to focus on equity and inclusion in clinical trials?
My career research focus on breast cancer health equity actually stems to the earliest part of my career as a surgeon before I went into surgical breast oncology. I was seeing a large number of Black women being afflicted with breast cancer at advanced stages, being afflicted with breast cancer at very young ages, much younger than my white American breast cancer patients. And they seemed to have disease that was more difficult to treat, disease that was more resistant to the standard treatments that were available at that time. And this is going back to the 1990s. And so that motivated me to want to become involved with research to understand why these breast cancer disparities were so stark and, quite honestly, quite appalling. So that led me to pursue fellowship training in surgical breast oncology, which I did at MD Anderson. And my career ever since my training in surgical oncology has been dedicated to breast cancer management with a focus on breast cancer disparities.
A lot of your research, as you mentioned, focus on disparities in breast cancer outcomes. Black women have a 41% higher mortality rate in breast cancer than white women, yet they make up only 3% of patients in breast cancer trials. Why do you think representation of Black women in breast cancer trials is low?
You can put those different reasons in basically three different buckets: provider level explanations, systems level explanations, and of course the patient level explanations. At the provider level, it's been very well documented in a number of different studies that one of the biggest determinants of a Black woman not participating in a clinical trial when she's already been found to be eligible for that breast cancer clinical trial is the fact that she's not asked, she's not invited to participate by her provider. And there are a number of reasons why some of these are implicit biases and some of these are overtly discriminatory practices. At the systems level, unfortunately, clinical trials are very expensive to offer. They require a large degree of manpower. And unfortunately, since a lot of our medically underserved patients are being cared for in safety net hospitals, they're being cared for in hospitals that cannot afford to offer clinical trials. We also have systems level issues related to cost. Often clinical trials will require additional visits to the clinic for monitoring and evaluation of toxicities, side effects, and for socioeconomically disadvantaged patients, which will describe, unfortunately, a lot of our African American breast cancer patients. You just can't you can't afford to have unpaid time off from your job. You can't afford the childcare issues. You can't afford the transportation needs for these extra visits. And then at the patient level, there are many reasons why patients will be mistrustful of the healthcare system and of the clinical trials mechanism because of the memory of the horrific abuses in medical research, such as the Tuskegee experience. Now, today, there are so many regulatory issues that protect patients that we can actually state that participating in a clinical trial represents a protection against discriminatory behaviors because we have so many safeguards that are in place to make sure that patients participating in clinical trials are managed appropriately, that they receive the best possible treatments and the best possible monitoring.
Your team has conducted a lot of research to understand the higher incidence of triple negative breast cancer in Black women. Given that this type of cancer is a lot less common, some would say that this is a very specialized topic. How could your research contribute to breast cancer care for all women?
You can definitely argue that the research involving triple-negative breast cancer is a specialized topic because overall triple-negative breast cancer accounts for a minority of the breast cancers that we see. However, it accounts for a disproportionately high volume of morbidity and mortality from breast cancer because it is a biologically more aggressive cancer. Triple-negative breast cancers are twice as common in African American women compared to white American women. My research group, the International Center for the Study of Breast Cancer Subtypes, which is now a 20-year-old research team, has been studying some of the genetic factors related to this preponderance of triple-negative breast cancer in African American women by looking at the breast cancer burden of women on the continent of Africa. In studying the breast cancers of women on the continent of Africa, we've actually identified some genetic factors, some DNA patterns that are specific and unique to Western Sub-Saharan African ancestry, which is accounting or contributing to this higher risk of triple-negative breast cancer in African American women. The lack of diversity in clinical trials is truly hampering our ability to make advances in breast cancer patterns. Triple-negative breast cancer is a prime example of that, but we see it in other types of breast cancer as well. I do believe that more broadly diverse representation onto clinical trials will make our clinical trial results more valuable. Through precision medicine, we're learning a lot more about being able to individualize or personalize breast cancer treatments, and we have to develop better personalized therapies for triple-negative breast cancers. We will only be able to achieve that goal if we are studying triple-negative breast cancers in the populations that have a higher burden, a higher risk of these tumors, and that includes women with African ancestry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Newman, for taking the time to speak with us and share your brilliant insights. Thank you to our viewers. Like and subscribe to watch more of our clinical equality sessions, featuring academics and clinicians working to create change. Together, we can make clinical trials worth more. Join us. Visit clinicalequality.com.